What up? Good morning. It is at St. Lauren 57, sober, celibate, and saved. So I've been super freaking busy. But this weekend, well, first of all, let me just talk about what I want to talk about. I've been extremely blessed, and I just want to take a moment to be super grateful, but I want to take a moment to share because, you know, I have an extremely hard time asking for help. I always have, um, because the support systems I relied on before, it was it was always transactional, I should say more conditional, right? And it was always you know, we might be able to assist, but not without conditions. And, not without being berated or monitored or controlled or just completely it gave me incredible anxiety. And literally it was only in a moment of extreme necessity. It was never, you know, little. It was something very significant. I would significantly really need some sort of assistance or something. And yeah, and it just, throughout my life, it made it really incredibly hard for me to ask for help, especially when I felt I ended up, typically in relationships where I had to rely on myself. And it just, the repercussions of asking for help from, it wasn't something I grew up doing. It was I have to figure this out, because the least involvement with these support systems, right, that you grow up typically having, especially we all kind of grow up with a very significant support system that we are born into, right? And typically this is the go-to for children, for adolescents, young adults. I mean, this is the go-to support, system that you're born into. And and it's one of those things where it's man, in a real bind. Or I mean, and for other people, from what I observe of other people, needing life advice, they usually go to this structured, or to this support system that they are born into, right? And I just didn't have a healthy, that's just not, I literally only went and sought out that support system in desperation, in absolute desperation. I really, and that's the thing too, is that kind of definitely hindered me, because I'm sure that I have made some genuine friendships, but also I never want to burden anybody. I know that everybody's just trying to survive, and it doesn't matter, the different tax brackets, the different income levels, right? No matter how big the house, how small, how much more someone has, how much doesn't, how much bigger the credit line is from someone, the level of debt, everybody, even when you observe, from the outside looking, in, or what I'm saying, looking at the outside of someone else, you assume that, oh well, they have all these things, they should be just fine, right? And that's not the case, right? And so anyways, I just always grew up never wanting to be a burden, and it was something I really absolutely struggled with. Anyways, so something happened this weekend, and I, on Saturday, I always go to one of my recovery meetings, and I take, a handful of my sisters, right? And and went to get in the car, and my car wouldn't start. I immediately felt so helpless, because I used to have tools, And it really gave me like this flashback and this immediate frustration, because like I used to have any tool you could possibly need, well, hand tool that you could possibly need, right, to work on your car. Like, whether, you know what I'm saying? Like, anything I would have needed in that moment, I would have had, and so that was incredibly frustrating. And then it just made me think about like the situation with my last car and who damaged it and not fixing it, and then removing all of my tools so that I wasn't able, in means to control where I needed to go, in means to control the freedom, in means to control my independence, in means to make my world so small that I had to rely on that human being, right? So that person destroyed my vehicle to make my world small. So I had no way of getting around. So I had no independence. So it means to control where all I could go, right? And obviously, who am I going to ask? Knowing that my world was already very small, and how the other support person is someone that I have an incredibly hard time communicating with and would rather not rely on if I don't have to. And so they kind of use that also and against me, right? Like they're the lesser of the two evils in a sense. So I, immediately got like a flashback in that moment of like, oh my God, like, I missed my old car. I was familiar with my old car. Like I knew it up and down, back and front, inside and out, right? Like if there was something going on, I immediately would be able to figure it out. Like I familiarized and worked on it enough. But I've been out of that for so long. Like I haven't had a vehicle to work on. I haven't, you know what I'm saying? Like I'm just haven't been able to like continue my education in that realm. Like, right. So, and I just got this car in February. So, I'm not extremely familiar with it. Like I'm not in a place or have the means to kind of check it out and, those kind of things, right? Like use my intelligence and my knowledge and my experience of like knowing a vehicle. And just like also I'm not in a place where I like can start, having a tool bag again and having a jack and jack stands and, being able to like do my own oil change, rotate my own tires and do my own brakes, right? Which I'm incredibly more than capable of. But I'm just not like, I don't even have all those things, right? So anyways, in that moment I felt all those things and it was extremely hot and I was like, you know what? Forget it. Like there were suggestions being made and I was like, nope, we're just going to leave it. I mean, I don't have AAA at this moment. I don't have any other way to get anywhere to test anything. And in this moment, like, and also like I still struggle. Like I really struggle with asking for help, right? And and I feel like this is the biggest challenge that God, and not this is the biggest, I don't know if it's challenge. This is the biggest challenge that God is putting before me, because I know that I can only get better. God wants us to be in community. God wants us to be able to rely on one another. We should be able to rely on one another, right? And God knows that things are going to come about in life. And if I don't have a support system, if I don't have a community that I trust, if I don't live in a community and create a new support system, because I don't have and I most definitely have I do have a support system in the family I was in what I was born into. It doesn't look like what it did before, but and that's even been a struggle to ask, because I never want to disappoint. I don't want to burden. They've already done so much, and it's very hard, because that's not what they tell me. That's what I tell myself. And but the thing is like, when people love you and people want to see you be successful, people want to help you. And if they can, they will. And if they can't, then they can't. You know what I'm saying? But and it's not the fear of talking to somebody who can't help me, right? It's just the incredible anxiety it is to even try to ask for help when I'm so used, and it's safer to solve problems myself. But I'm literally in a place where I only have so many means. So before I like not be grateful for that, like I want to make sure like I very much communicate the fact that I do have, right, like part of the support system I was born into, and I'm absolutely grateful for that. Like I mean, in so anyways, it's just a lot of like, I never want anyone to, you know what I'm saying? Like I grew up watching people take or be given things but take advantage of them, and I just never ever want to be put in that position where I look like I'm taking advantage of people, or like I never want to be that human who takes advantage of others. I never have been, and I don't want to be. And so anything close to, anything like that, you know what I'm saying, like it prevents me from asking for help anyways. So I sat down. I was like, forget it. Sorry guys, we're not gonna make it to the recovery group, whatever. So I sat down and I took a second, and I am, next to that support system I came in here and came into this season of my life with, right? I I now have a community, an additional support system in community from, other support groups, and obviously like my church I go to. And so I hit up all the brothers that I had, and I just asked, and right away one of them came through and gave me some suggestions, jumped the vehicle, right? And I was incredibly grateful, like stopped everything, came over, right? And I just, I was just so incredibly grateful for that, because it's really hard to ask for help. It sucks when you feel helpless, and especially when you are independent and feel helpless. It's a whole nother level of a horrible feeling. So then the next morning I was getting ready to go to church, and my car, it was completely dead. So, and that means I knew that it was the battery, right? I knew that it wasn't really anything more than that. Anyway, so, in this moment, like, I've been, trying to, like, I just have realized I've been able to, like, I have created new support system, right, over the last year and a half, almost 2 years. Like I have created a new, year and a half, 2 years. I've been creating a new support system, and the thing is you have to ask. And when people see you working very hard, and when people see you struggling, and you know what I'm saying, like doing all you can, people want to help. Like, and if they have the means or the suggestions too, then they will. I have found, right? And so anyway, so I'm like, oh my gosh, like I had other priorities that day that I need to make sure I was like mentally, emotionally present for. And so even when I was sitting in church, I was like, just be in this moment, right? Because God's gonna take care of the rest. Like, be in this moment. There's nothing I can do about it in this moment, right? Because those are the demons I used to fight. I used to get completely overwhelmed by barriers, and it needed to be fixed now. And so later on, after I had taken care of, enjoyed one moment from church and enjoyed the next moment, right? When all that was said and done, I started game planning. And I had another support person here help me jump the car, and then I was able to go and get the battery tested, and then I hit up one of my very another brother, and without hesitation, and I was just without hesitation, he helped. I am so incredibly grateful. And it's the thing, right? So Monday was a great day. Monday was an absolute great day, but this weekend, and I had expressed this emotion to somebody else, like, I know that things are working their way. Like, I know things are coming together. and I know like a job's gonna land in this, but like life is still going to happen. And no matter how many things start coming together, and as independent as I am, and as, you know what I'm saying, like I am intelligent and experienced enough and driven enough to always find a solution to the problem on my own. Like I am most definitely self-reliant, right? But the biggest lesson is being self-reliant in my life and not having a support system, and not allowing, not in isolating in frustration, and once barriers of life come, and putting on the mask of I'm okay when I'm not okay, is what inevitably has also been a part of keeping me in that cycle of insanity. Because God doesn't mean for us to live like, there's nothing wrong with being independent, there's nothing wrong with being self-reliant. Like this is what gets me through things, right? Like I can figure things out like that. Like, and I'm not codependent. I don't have to, you know what I'm saying? Like I can navigate that. But the thing is, in life, you're going to need help. And it doesn't mean that it's always monetary. It might just mean like there needs to be people I need to be able to go for, that I feel comfortable with and trust, to talk to ask advice of. You know what I'm saying? It's not just monetary. And and the thing is this has been a challenge, and this has been something God is like, you need to really keep practicing to ask for help, because this is going to take you further. Like you can take but I need this from you, because you need this for yourself while you're, you know what I'm saying? You need to have that community. And so I had to express to somebody, like, I know that God is teaching me a lesson right now. I know that he knows I'm so self-reliant, and I will inevitably like kind of isolate, shut down, and get anxiety until I figure out the problem myself. And I will like run myself into the ground taking care of myself, so that I don't hinder, burden, or implore anyone to do anything for me. And so anyway, I was, my very good friends, like, was able to help me. And I had an interview. I had a second interview for one of the jobs last week on Monday. And, I was able to make that. And, what they had just said to me was like, Lauren, don't worry about it. Like, don't worry about it. Just like, because this person sees me, they see what I do, they know my heart, and that was it. And they were like, and then the people I share these things with, they're like, it's just good karma, dude. Like, it all comes around. And it's like, also the people who love me and want to help and want me to allow them to help me, they're like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you deserve it, like, and you earned, it's not like, because it's still like such a struggle, right? But so, and yesterday morning I was able to make that interview, and for one, I got 2 job offers yesterday. But when I went to that second interview, it was so good. I think that was like one of the best interviews I've ever been to. Like, it was structured in such a fun and interactive way. Like, so yeah, and they ended up calling me, only like a couple hours later to offer me the position. So, and that was like a huge win, because like I've been trying and doing interviews and perfecting the craft of, modifying resumes to the job position, making sure I create a cover letter for every single resume, making sure that I reach out to the employers, make sure that I follow up with interviews, in any single way I can contact, and this and that, sending thank you notes for, sending thank you emails for the interview. Like, yeah, just like perfecting the craft of applying myself and, just obviously taking suggestion and, just putting in the work to get results, right? And so, yeah, okay, yeah. So, I was incredibly, excited and grateful to get those because I really, I've been working incredibly hard. And so that was like such a win. But then also, what was I going to say? Oh, yeah. And then also last night, so they, where being at St. John's, whatever, they had totally remodeled our bathroom, and it was a process, right? Like they definitely, put things in place to make it as comfortable and as functional as it could be while, the work was being done. And so we were able to go to an incredibly nice spa last night, and we had a spa day, or a spa evening, I should say. I got a massage, but like we were there for 3 hours in a hot tub. They had hot tubs and steam rooms and saunas, a cold plunge, little water area, whatever, right? But yeah, then they had the massages. And, then we had one of our staff like serving us little appetizers and some lemonade and stuff. But it was so freaking nice. Like, it just was such an amazing experience. And I was like, what a great way to celebrate, like, the whole day. Like, getting 2 job offers in one day. And then being able to relax and enjoy myself, be in a hot tub, man, like, and get this massage. And so, like, it's just one thing. It's still a battle, even as thick as my community is growing, right? Like, even in the thick of it, it's still hard. And even though, like, there are, so many people I have that I feel comfortable, but it's still hard because it's not them, it's me. Like, I have an incredibly hard time, and it's not because I'm not scared of looking weak. It's not scared of being rejected. It's not a pride thing at all. It's literally not wanting to burden anybody, and also not feeling capable. Like, in this moment, I know I can only, everything also has always felt transactional, right? Like, and when people really want to help you, or when they really can, like, obviously, like, if you have means to do something in return, but in healthy way, like, right? And people will let it be known if at some point they need something in return, like a trade or whatever, right? And the thing is like, I just always, and it's not like I never want to owe somebody, but I never want to take advantage of. And I will always repay or do some sort of trade, or, I don't expect anything just for the kindness of someone's heart and wanting to help. Like, there's always conditions on it, and it's something that's super unhealthily ingrained in me. And it's a very, very difficult thing to, you know what I mean, to not rely on self. Not because I'm not capable, but I mean, everybody needs help sometimes. And, and this is, that's also, I mean, if I look back to, that moment in my life when I was in complete fatal peril and I'm alone, and people I thought I could trust and rely on were not people I could trust and rely on, and that completely broke me. Had I had a support system that I could trust and communicate with, like, I wouldn't have been in that apartment for so long. Like, I wouldn't have been alone. I probably would have, I don't know, there would have been so many different ways and so many different things in place to either get me back on my feet, at least be able to, temporarily remove me to put me somewhere else. I don't know. There just would have been, I wouldn't have been in my apartment for 5 months with no power, like all by myself, not trusting anybody. Like I wouldn't have been like anxious and just horrified by the world. I would have felt safe enough and comfortable enough to ask for help and allow others to, save me. So that's the biggest lesson God has for me, is to learn to ask for help, like to not be so self-reliant. And he's allowed me he's put these people in my life where I've been able to build relationships with, where it doesn't feel conditional, it doesn't feel transactional. And that's something I have to stop telling myself. Like, if people want to help, they're offering. And, it's just really hard. And it's not taking, you know what I'm saying? If people have the means to help, they will. And so it's something that's, like I said, it's going to be it's like it's going to be a very long process for me to really, but I'm learning that slowly but surely. But that's the biggest task that God has for me, is to ask for help. So at St. Lauren 57, be safe and be kind. And learn to ask for help. Build a healthy community. Whether it's your pride or whether you're scared, or, if you have any sort of identifying factors in my story and why it's hard for me to ask for help, like, just, build, trust is the biggest thing. Trust and love. You got to find, you got to live in community with people who see you for you and want to see you be successful. And, they don't judge you. They don't judge you and just see you for you, want you to be successful, and be authentic, be real. And, that way you can build trust and community and people who, it's not even just, like I said, not even about monetary things. Like, you have to be able to have community, people you'll take suggestions from. Oh, and the biggest thing too is, like, my community prays for me. Before my interview, I texted them and I said, hey, would you guys just pray for me? And I'm sure they pray for me all the time, even when I don't ask for it. Like, I know I have, like, a very strong and thick community of people who want to see me successful because they know I'm working hard to rebuild my life. And so that's something I forgot to say, is that's probably the most incredible gift I've been given, is a community that prays for me and, will willingly send me prayer, or just all these kind of things too. Like, they are spiritually, spiritually rooting for me too, and spiritually there for me. And, especially when I forget or don't know, or to pray for myself. So it's really important to, it's just important to have community, not so that people are there to do the things that you need to do for yourself, the things, what I'm saying, but everybody needs help at some point in one form or another along the way. And whether it's friendship, community, suggestions, advice, like being able to identify, being able to feel a part of. There's so many things that come in community. And so I'm just incredibly grateful that God has put that, before me, and also to help encourage me to keep learning that lesson and to keep taking on that challenge of asking for help, so that, I can get to where I need to be, instead of just, staying stuck in this cycle of insanity of, relying on myself when if I'm empty, how can I do that? So at St. Lauren 57, be safe, be kind, and ask for help.